Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Tuesday the 21st of March. So firstly, let's just look at the risk events that are occurring today. We'll come across here first then. So today, Japanese bank holiday, fine. We've seen the monetary policy meeting minutes come out for Australia. We've got the Canadian inflation coming out later today at 12:30. ECB President Lagarde and Villeroy speaking there as well at 12:30. I don't see. I mean, inflation data for the Canadian dollar could be have an effect, but we'll see what happens there. But that is just about it. It's a relatively quiet day because we're all waiting for tomorrow, aren't we? With the Fed meeting, that is, if you've forgotten already. So a quick scan through a couple of the majors, and then we'll get there's a couple that could be setting up. We'll have a look. It's a bit of a mess out there, but it's starting to look a bit better. So euro dollar, well, the euro is struggling to walk back up those stairs. Haven't jumped out the window previously. It's getting back close to its previous highs here. It's a difficult one because it's just so messy in a sense, but at some point we're going to lose this out of our sights and we'll be concentrating on what it's doing already here, and it has put a number of higher lows, higher highs coming through, running through there. It would be nicer if it comes back to this pivot, and there's a potential opportunity off that, and I would wait post 8 o'clock. Has got the flag pattern sort of sitting there at the moment and could just run up to R1, so there's a risk that it does that. I would wait until post 8 o'clock and just see if it gets back to its pivot. It's morning Michael, a lot better. Leon, morning. Ray, Cam, morning all. Yeah, it's a lot better for me if it pulls off of there. So yeah, there's the flag on the euro, but certainly with high lows, higher highs, looking a bit better, at least for now. I don't think these markets are going to fly, but we'll see. Now the pound, I'm liking the look of the pound in a sense on the hourlies here, but let's just go back a bit, and we've got the higher low definitely coming through here on the dailies. It's just looking that little bit more bullish than the euro in a sense. It's right up into its R1. This could release it up to its R2 at some point on the weeklies. More importantly, let's look at the intraday here, and it's got into a nice little flag there. We'll see what happens post 8 o'clock, but that could be on for its R1 at some point. If it breaks through the pivot here after 8 o'clock and starts sinking down, I'm not interested. Dollar yen, it's an important one, and I'm looking at a lot of the M pairs actually, and they've got a similar-ish pattern to what we're seeing here. Of course, it's just comes from the bigger time frames. We had been moving down quite strongly to the downside here, but it's, there you go, lower highs, lower lows coming through there. Some of the retracements quite big on that move last week, but we'll see where it's going today. But it's this little hook up it's in at the moment. But well, it's not quite giving us a higher low here. If it starts selling off where the flag comes into play, and possibly the S1, we'll look at the Aussie. But look at the Aussie here, and you can see what a mess it is. It looks better on its dailies. It's whether or not. I mean, it had this trend line across it yesterday. It finally broke that. It's last week's trend line actually sitting across there. Let's just take that off. But it still would be a trend line across the lows. But it's chopping a bit sideward, and you see it clearer on here. Now it's already hit daily pivot S1. If it rolls back over, there's a possibility with it. At the moment, it wasn't a few minutes ago when I was looking at it, it was looking quite bearish for a continuation of that rollover, but erring up there on the upside. But we'll see how it develops. Right, pairs that might have a bit of movement today, I've got highlighted here. Did I highlight that for a reason? I didn't really. That was the wrong one. It's on the highlight there. It was previously highlighted. Right, pound yen certainly I've got on the list here. Pound yen potential move to the upside towards its prior highs. There are one. It might be a bit tight on the stop placement and the potential reward out of this, but it hasn't hit the daily pivot, so it could break on through the R1. But it's there. It is looking ugly-ish. It's quite choppy looking on these other time frames, but it's just getting to that point where you can see it's that trend line I've drawn on there could be extended across a little bit further. So it's dare I say it's got a bit of a head and shoulders, but I'm looking at the sort of potential third wave up here. More importantly, now I don't know why I've got that one highlighted, because I don't want to do anything with that. Aussie CAD, that's already gone. Oh, it was the Aussie yen, wasn't it? I was looking at the Aussie yen, mainly the M pairs here at the moment, to see if they've rolled back over. But Aussie yen has been coming off reasonably good, reasonably well there on the dailies. It's much more choppy and ugly on the 4 hourlies there, but amongst all this mess, there's the potential rollback. Now, if it's not the Aussie yen, it could be the CAD yen. They're both sort of sitting in a similar-ish pattern, but if they start breaking out these prior highs, well, then it's most likely going to be a proper trend change. So not a great deal there. That sort of pound yen looking probably the more positive of them, and the pound dollar actually. So well, it's just messing up what I was looking at a little bit, but it still could end up flagging and pushing through towards its R1. We'll see how things, as I say, develop post 8 o'clock. Another 6 minutes to go yet. Right, okay, that's the Forex pairs. Just look at gold, because I get quite a few questions always on gold, so we'll look at gold and what it's doing. So gold, the safety currency at the moment then, and the proper safety currency as it's been. Well, it didn't do too much yesterday, a little sort of shooting-y star almost, spinning top, if not that shooting star on the 4 hourlies here. It's looking a bit iffy. We've got the weekly pivot below. Maybe if things are calming down, we'll see the break of the lows here and it come off a little bit further, but the general trend is still to the upside. We higher lows in the bigger time frames. We're not seeing any cracks in that at the moment, and even here still that ugliness that's sort of sat here, it's still there. However, if things settle out in the markets, we could see some of that gold being sold, and then suddenly it'll all be sold quickly. Also, all be sold, but you know what I mean, it'll come off really quickly. Okay, oil, so not really recovering too much from where it was yesterday. In fact, it ended up a little bit more positive. It's around the sort of $60–65 sort of area. Could it go lower? Of course. There's a lot of reasons it can. Do speculators think it's going to go higher? Of course they are, but so long as we've got speculators that are underwater with other positions and selling them off, it might be a bit more of a struggle. Looking at it at the moment today, maybe if it finds some support off its daily pivot, it could get a bounce there. UK oil is pretty much the same, just in case you're looking at Brent. Yeah, same sort of picture. Right, quick then look at the indices as I normally do here. CSI 300, try to get back up there, but just look at it on the daily basis here. But the lower highs, lower lows, it is still to me a bearish market. Disappointment in terms of potential growth there. The Nikkei also selling here, and the Nifty 50 struggling. Any retracements on this of any size may give opportunities to sell back into it again. S&Ps did gain back a little bit yesterday in the end, and moving back that sort of little bit of positive movement at the moment to the upside. But they're you know, look at the Dow, look at the Nasdaq. He says Nasdaq's a bit clearer, a little bit more positive, but hanging in there. There's 2 days they've sat there, not really going too far. And I think we'll see a little bit more action by the time the Fed meeting's done and dusted tomorrow. The coming close to home, the DAX, well, it's really ugly. You've got these really big stepped formations. Now, it's been giving us lower highs, lower lows. That's fine. However, it's starting to shape up a little bit. The size of these retracements could just mean that there is some buying demand in this coming through, and at some point this could change around. I'd rather see it retrace again and then shove through, to be fair. But you can see on the shorter time frames, it's very minute higher lows coming through there. Nothing too strong. I prefer to see bigger corrections. It would have been nice to see a correction back to its daily pivot today before it started pushing up. But as I say, you can see there is some demand for it kicking through. The FTSE, I wouldn't say this is looking like it's near the end of its move at the moment. Again, we've had the same lower highs, lower lows, but the retracements have been a little bit lighter. This is running into its pivot. It'd be interesting to see if this rolls back away from the pivot later and there's potential sell-off. Okay, that's it for me today. I wish you a great day's trading. Or I should just look at Bitcoin as it's as we've been seeing it as a sort of safety element kicking in there. Let's just have a look at the dailies there. So dailies holding up fine where it is at the moment, around that 27.5 area. So still holding well. Okay, that's it, guys. Oil may be an inverted head and shoulders, Michael. Yeah. Can I get back to oil? I will just look at that for you. It could be. I mean, yeah. Is there a on the bigger time? Well, it's already happened, isn't it? Really, I'm looking at this daily sort of picture. If it had been. Are you looking at the shorter time frames? Oh, I see. Yeah. Inverted. Yeah, just on the very short time frame there, possibly. At the moment, though, it's heading south, so maybe off the pivot there's a flag. So off the lower time frames, yep, can see it. Right. On that note, I'll catch you in the morning for you guys in the YouTube channel. Catch you later. Take care. Have a good day's trading. Trade safely.